I haven't properly sat down and played a Halo multiplayer experience in many years. I didn't even bother to play Halo 5 Guardians, and I probably won't, unless you guys would think it would be a good stream series, in which case I might revise that. But my opening point is, going into the Halo Infinite multiplayer flight test, I wasn't quite sure what to expect. And I think, to put it simply, Halo Infinite has certainly got my attention. I only really managed to get an hour in because I was working the weekend of the flight test, but it was a good hour. And now I've got a much better idea of what the next installment in the Halo franchise is going to be about. Not with regards to plot, obviously. Like I said, I didn't play Halo 5, so I haven't got a clue there. But when it comes to the multiplayer, you know, where Halo thrives, I got a good feel for that, so I thought I'd do a video giving my thoughts from the perspective of somebody who used to play a lot of Halo but sort of trailed off. Obviously, with this being a flight test and not even a beta, I'm going to excuse bugs for the time being. They're going to exist. It's early bells, and they were kind of funny, to be fair. What is going on there? What the fuck is that? I feel at this stage especially, there are more important things than bugs to talk about. I'm sure bugs will become more of an issue when there's more open beta or when the game's actually out, though I think it's fair to mention that this flight test actually fully crashed my Xbox Series S a total of 3 times, so it was literally screaming for death, which I suppose is worth mentioning as something of note, but it's not necessarily an issue this early on, as I'd imagine issues like that are a priority fix for 343. I almost said Bungie then. What does that tell you? Before we get into the meat of this though, I'd like to apologise for my god-awful gameplay. I haven't played Halo multiplayer in years, and I wasn't that good to begin with. But hey, it's having fun that counts, right? First, in the positives category, we have these little drill things where you can basically shoot at standstill Spartans just to get a feel for the gameplay, which is a nice way to warm up without getting absolutely pounded by enemies. Even if they are just bots, they're bloody good, so it's good to just get a little bit of warm up in just to get a feel for how the game actually plays, and see in a controlled environment just how effective certain weapons actually are, how much damage they do, how long it takes to kill with direct hits, etc, etc. Giving you a feel for all the weapons is good and all. It allows you to get a better understanding of where you stand when you're playing in a multiplayer match where you ideally want to be as efficient and effective as you possibly can be. It's nothing too major, of course, it's just cool to have. Now, as for when you actually get into a multiplayer match, what I like is that everybody starts with the same equipment. You start with an assault rifle and a pistol, and you can find different weapons throughout the map. I suppose you can make an argument for classes, considering all the weapons are roughly the same sort of power. They all have their strengths and their drawbacks, and it's really down to preference. However, this ensures that the beginning of a match is a level playing field. And the heftier weapons are just out there for you to find, though that's usually the case with Halo, regardless of whether or not you're all starting with the same weapons or if you can choose classes. As for power weapons, they aren't hard to find, and you'll often find yourself being pasted by somebody with one, but they only seem to be available for brief periods in the match, which I think is fair. Though once picked up and dropped when you die, it's there for all to find, I suppose. But even when you're facing somebody with them, it never feels like you're all scrambling to get them, because at that point it would genuinely get a little bit ridiculous. As for powers you can pick up, for a brief period I did give the grappling hook a go, and it was alright. I don't think in the flight test maps I had much of an opportunity to utilise it effectively, and I died almost as quickly as I picked the thing up, but it was interesting just the same. Movement in the gameplay was certainly agreeable. Now, I think a lot of people are cautious about sprint because it doesn't necessarily enhance your speed, especially in previous Halo games. It would just slow you down the rest of the time, but it does have a benefit in a sense where you can use it to transition in a slide, which can be pretty damn cool and pretty useful, I'd imagine, in a lot of situations. So I understand its value now. It's certainly more than just a pointless sprint that's just there to slow you down when you're not using it. It doesn't really enhance speed that much, so it's just a visual cue for your movement options, which I think is really useful because it shows you what you're engaging presently and allows you to figure out what you can do from that. For example, sliding, which can be quite useful in avoiding bullets and taking out some enemies. Another positive comes from the overall feeling. It feels like Halo, the game plays like Halo, the maps look like Halo, in the sense that Halo has never tried to be hyper-realistic like, say, Call of Duty or Battlefield. It's never been about being photorealistic or being stupidly fast-paced to make you feel like you're actually in the middle of a massive battle. All Halo should be is all it needs to be, which is Halo. In the flight test, I can gather that it does this in its level design, in its character and weapon design, and also in how it plays. I'm struggling to find the correct words to express what I'm actually thinking here, but I think if you know what I mean, you probably know what I mean. The flight test just plays in a way not dissimilar to how I remember Halo. Sure, there are adjustments to help modernize the experience a bit, not that Halo gameplay has ever felt dated, just specific, but it doesn't get carried away with blending in too much with other first-person shooters, which is exactly what you want from a franchise as iconic as Halo. Yes, it can be fun and engaging, but it does it the Halo way. Yes, it can be fast-paced, but it does it the Halo way, and I feel like that's one of the most important things. Now, for the most part of the flight test, players were put against bots, and these bots would increase in difficulty as the weekend went on, I believe. By the time I actually got around to playing, these bots were at a stage where they were pretty convincing, though I didn't get the chance to fire the flight test up when the PvP was available for the brief period that it was. It would have been nicer if that window was larger just so I could get a feel for actual PvP rather than just killing bots, because killing bots really does take the satisfaction of teabagging out of the equation, so I just wound up teabagging myself. When it comes to my concerns, however, there's only really one that springs to mind at this stage, and it has to do with the battle pass. There was a battle pass in the flight test that I presume will carry over into the main game when it releases. However, for a game that's likely going to cost full AAA price on launch, I'm very cautious about how much progression and cosmetics that's going to lock away. Will this take away from the rewarding feeling of progression if you choose to go without it? And really, when it comes to stuff like that in games you have to buy outright anyway, I'm always cautious about what the crack is. I'm aware that there will likely be customization options outside of it, as there certainly were in the flight test, albeit limited. But how will a battle pass justify itself as something to spend extra money on, and how long will the benefits of purchasing that even last? Is this indicating a longer term business model that we should be cautious about? If it's just cosmetics and stuff like that, then it's not really an issue. However, unlocking cosmetics and stuff like that used to be part of the fun of progressing in Halo multiplayer. So provided there's enough there anyway, I suppose there's no issue. But I suppose if they can keep the value in the battle pass, but also keep a nice satisfying sense of progression in the progression without it, then it's not necessarily a problem. However, when it comes to monetizing video games, especially AAA video games these days, if there's one thing I've learned, it's never be optimistic. But those are really all the thoughts I have to give presently, so thank you all for watching this video. I hope that it's given you a better idea of where I stand on the Halo Infinite flight test. It was a lot of fun and I really enjoyed myself for the hour and a bit that I actually got to play it, and I think it is definitely fair to say that Halo Infinite has piqued my interest and I will be looking further into it, and will more than likely play it when it releases, which I look forward to. If you managed to get into the flight test, be sure to let me know what you thought down in the comments section. If not, I hid a sneaky Master Chief somewhere in this video. Go and find him and leave a comment at the timestamp as to where he was.
I suck a fat cock.
Regardless, I really hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to go ahead, leave a like, subscribe, share the channel with your friends and all that wonderful stuff. That would be super fantastic. And with any luck, I'll be seeing you all very soon with another video at some point. But until next time, take care and goodbye.